Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation.
And that's exactly what I do. Once a day in the morning, pretty big deal of the day. Hair gel comes from. Save America. Everybody's been asking, Phil, when's the podcast coming back? We need it. Well, I'm like, there's a lot of stuff that's happened over the last few months. Some people said, well, you're never going to come back after your last couple episodes. But I said, no, this is the Winners Podcast. And what a better way to bring in the next season of the Philosophy Podcast, also known as the Winners Podcast, and with the guys who just completely, shocked the world. That's what I'm going to say, right? They shocked the world. 45-0 win last Friday against Bosco in the state championship. Please welcome my man, Chris Mimo. It's not a party if he's not there. It's a Cardi party, Christian Cardi. And player of the game, player of the week, the best running back, actually the greatest running back in the state of New Jersey, Saeed St. Fleur, and my man, the voice of Bergen Catholic football, David Poley. Guys, welcome to the Philosophy Podcast. And boy, am I excited to have you guys here.
What's up, Phil?
Thank you, Phil.
Excited to be here.
So let's just dive right into this thing. My first question is for Cardi Party down there. Christian, so you had a pretty good week, I would assume. But you guys win your semifinal game, okay? And are you, I would say, probably out of anybody on the team, has had the most social media hate from schools. When you guys first lost against Bosco, there were multiple posts about you from the other team on social media. I remember you told me, you go like, oh, we're going to go back. We're going to get them. And then I won't say exactly what was tweeted out by a certain school's Twitter page, but it wasn't a word that you would call anybody, pretty much, to put it in that perspective. So, Christian, when you saw that tweet last week, what's the first thing that went into your mind?
Well, that's not on the top of my head, you know what I mean? Like, I got to be focused in for the game. That's that was really the least of my worries. But if anything, that really just puts fuel to the fire and makes it worse for them, to be honest.
I like it. Chris, over now to you. Me and you, we both spoke before we talked about the state championship game. We spoke a week after you guys had your only loss of the season at home. And I remember I was talking to you, I'm like, Chris, like, this is only the start of the season. It's a marathon. You got a lot left to go. So I guess you could say hashtag Phil was right on that one. Saeed, there's not many words that I could really put into this one, but explain to me your mindset going into this game on Friday.
Honestly, bro, it was just a get back game. Me personally, that was probably the worst game I ever had. 6 carries, -3 yards. I just wanted to show the whole state what I could do. Show my team what I'm really about. Try to get back.
I like it. Mr. Poley, you probably have the most analytical job on the team without being the statistician. Explain to me what you were feeling during that game, because I saw you on the field next to my.
Well, you said it was a shock to the world, but like being around these guys in the locker room, I could tell you nobody was shocked when we won that game. We all went in knowing that this game was even more special than last year's state title, probably because we had something to prove this time. Last year we were 12-0, probably the most dominant team in New Jersey, obviously finishing 3 in the country. But when you got guys like Chris, Christian, and Saeed in the locker room, providing leadership. Memo actually provided a lot of good speeches, and really stepped up on the junior class for leadership. So nobody was really shocked. So on the side of the game, I felt so good going into it. Like all the energy was up. I was texting all these guys being like, we have this, the best day of our lives tomorrow. Let's go. And can I be honest? I knew we had the game won when they ran the trick play on the kickoff return, because I have a favorite quote from Barry Alvarez, who was the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame in 1988 when Notre Dame played Miami in the Catholics versus Convicts game. And Barry Alvarez and Lou Holtz once said that opponents only run trick plays when they know they can't beat you straight up. So they beat us the first time, big time, and they came in scared running trick plays. So I was like, And I can tell you, not a single person in the Bergen Catholic locker room, thanks to Coach V, thanks to all these guys, were scared. So that's when I knew we had the game run. It went for a big gain, that trick play did, but I was like, if you have to bust that out that early, then we already have this.
Chris, talking about game plans, I want you to, before we talk about offense with Chris and Saeed, the defensive game plan by Coach DeBellis, what exactly was put in throughout the week?
Really nothing crazy. It was just the same stuff we've been doing all year. But honestly, it was just come out, be the stronger team, be tougher, be the more mean team, and just beat them down. And that was just our game plan, just to get our mindset right, focus up on the week, focus up on the game, and get out and just play ourselves, do what we do as a team and as a unit. And that was just really the big game plan, was just come out and be the tougher team.
So now my question again now for you is a part that I feel, which I don't think a lot of people agree about, is the turning point in the game happens here. Okay. Your guys' first drive on offense, you go down, you score. A few plays into Bosco's offensive drive, they get down inside the 10-yard line. Deja vu back to last season. And if you go back and if you watch my podcast, Inside Bosco Football, with my good friend Coach Sabella, you will see that you will see how he tells me why they go 4 and out there, why they miss goal. And now when I was watching, they get inside the 10. This year they go 5 and out. Chris, what's the defensive mindset after now they just get this giant gain? Like now, okay, we got to step up and we got to stop them here. How does that happen on defense, especially at MetLife? A lot of people there early from the first game. So that first quarter is a very different quarter than the next 3.
Yeah, so our biggest thing was just next page, stuff on the football field is crazy. Stuff's going to happen, You're going to mess up. You're going to do great plays. But after that play is over, it's just next play, get on, just play yourself and just keep doing you. And that was our mindset, was just, if something happens, it's just the next page. So we forgot about what was going on. We just played the next play and then just kept going. And that's what we did. And, it turned out to be a 4 and out, 5 and out, whatever it was. And we stopped them. And we just did that the whole game.
Cardi, down to you guys. What's the momentum swing like on the sideline when they get that giant stop?
I mean, when they got that stop, that was when I was like, all right. Like, obviously, I wasn't saying we were going to win yet, but because I obviously thought it was going to be a dogfight. But I thought we were just going to have to step up for these guys. Like, whenever the defense makes a 4 and out, it's just like you got to put, like, they put the team on their backs, and now you got to, like, return it back to them. So, yeah, that's how we felt after that. And then the next drive, when Malachi had that he had that tip where he jumped up in there and tipped it down on that slant. I mean, if Mal didn't hit that, that would have been a touchdown. I mean, he was wide open. So, but I mean, plays like that, it's like that's when you realize, like, all right, things are going for us right now. We're rolling.
I mean, Cardi, correct me if I'm wrong, but like when the defense gets a 4 and out like that, and the offense is feeling like, okay, we score a touchdown, we step on their throat, we got
exactly. Yeah. Once that 3 and out happens, then it's just like, all right, it's time to work, and it's time to shut these guys down.
Saeed, what about you?
I feel the same way. I have a real great confidence in my defense. So let's say we get a big stop. I'm on the sideline already, already hype. I'm telling everybody, let's go. We have to score here.
All right, now let's go. Let's talk now the offensive side of the ball. Cardi, throughout the game, on big plays, everybody saw the video. It's actually going to be put up at some point in the podcast at the end of the throw by Dom to you. When you go up and you catch it, we put in that philosophy logo as our little promotional piece. But that right there, that's a huge first down right there. Mm-hmm. It pretty much puts the nail in the coffin for Bosco. When you go through this game, especially in the beginning, because where we were sitting, I could see down kind of towards the tunnel where you guys were out, and you were out there, headphones on, and you were getting ready. What's going on through your head when you're playing against a team in a state championship who already beat you earlier in the season by a lot?
I mean, first thing I think about is, it's just another game. I don't care if state championship or not. I don't really think of it as oh, it's a state championship. This is so much bigger. It's just another game. Do what we always do. I mean, another thing is I was thinking like Saeed said, it's our get back game. What those guys did to us on our home field. I remember talking to these guys when I had this speech before the playoff, and I just told them I never want to feel like that again. I let them down. I let my family down. I let my family in this little car here down. So I just didn't want I was never gonna like let anyone down ever again like that. So I want to make sure that that stuck in their head, that 31-7 was always there in their head, and we knew we were gonna do them in that championship.
You know, I appreciate you saying that. I did get some texts to go F myself after that game. So I thank you for that. From a lot of people. I mean, Chris, you know about that. We talked later about it. But Chris, same thing for you and Saeed. Same exact kind of question for you. Beginning of the game, you know, what's going on through your head on that bus ride?
Sasa, I'll let you go first.
All right. Honestly, bro, just show the whole state what we could do. Let everybody know that game was a fluke. The first game was a fluke, and that we've been working ever since.
For me, I don't know. It was just like the feeling that I got when we as a team lost against Bosco. You know, it just kind of affected me in the long run. And as soon as I stepped a foot on that field and I saw that team that we were going to play, you know, I kind of put myself back in the position. I just never wanted to feel that way again. I didn't want to let my family down, the family in this call down, like Cardi said. And it was just like go time. It was grind time, and that's what we did. We went out there and we played our game.
Paulie, what about you? What did you see from the guys? Because you get that, you have a look.
I can speak to it as much as possible, but you know, I definitely did sense a different type of energy because I think the first game was definitely coming at some point because you know you can't win every game. We're coming off 16 straight wins. You know, nobody thought it was going to be that day, and we all played our they all played their hearts out. We all gave it everything we could in the locker room with energy and everything like that. But these guys, you know, just worked so hard to get back from that game. I just was like, there's no way that we're losing. Like, I don't think losing crossed anybody's mind in this call. Like Christian, Chris, like I don't think anybody walked in there with the possibility of losing, and you know, it never even really got close.
So a big thing that I want to ask you guys too, because you know I could go on and on about how would all the other sports people what they're always going to ask you, but I really want to know kind of like what I want to know. I don't care about what everybody else has to know. Throughout that game, okay, because we already talked. They talked. The opposing team talked a lot of smack talk throughout the whole entire week. At what point in the game does their sideline go quiet, and what's the back and forth banter between both teams on the field during the game?
They talked a lot for their whole sideline being gone, and that's all I'm going to say.
Pretty funny. So whichever one of you guys want to answer that, I want all three of you to definitely give me that. But what was it like on the field? At what point were they quiet, and what were the things that they were saying?
They weren't quiet at all. We were up 31-0. They were still chirping. So.
Yeah, you know, at the end of the day, it's all respect. But when we're out on the field, you know, it goes back and forth sometimes. But, you know, they're a great team. We're a great team. And, you know, we're the biggest rivals in the country. So, obviously, there's always going to be a little bit of a smack talk going on. But, you know, there's a certain level of respect there. But
is there really, Chris, though? Chris, be honest with me. Is there really a level of respect for those guys? Like, you got to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I respect them. I respect what they do. You know, obviously when it's go time, when it's game time, it's a little different feelings. The emotions are high. You know, people, you know, talk smack. You know, it goes back and forth. But there's always for any team that we play, there's always, you know, a little bit of respect for me and for that team that we play, and that goes for I feel like everyone else on our team and the people in this call as well. So,
Christian, I can see you biting your tongue over there. You got something to say, don't you?
I mean, obviously I have respect for anyone that steps on the football field, but like I always think about it like whoever's across from me, and if they're gonna be across from me and disrespect me like that, like thinking that they could play across from me like that, then I always take that as disrespect. And I know, like Chris said, yeah, we all have respect for like these teams, but I have respect for them playing as well as they did this year, and like how hard they played the first time we played them, but I don't really have too much respect for that school over there. So I'll be honest. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you.
Saeed, what about you?
Man, I feel the same way, bro. Especially after what they said the first game.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was.
What I just think is like when you run your mouth like that after you get like a big win, and then you like, I didn't like some of the stuff that quarterback said about my defense, especially in the paper and stuff like that, talking all hot like that. So. Like I said, I always have my family's back, and you know that was in what he said in the paper. After that, that was in the back of my mind too.
Well, earned, not deserved. I'm thinking about that a lot. I would probably have to say that. I wouldn't say that I listen. There's going to be people out there, and I know this, and I just want to say this because I'm going to get text after this episode that people don't like who I supported in that game. But there's reasons for that, and I truly believe that everything happens for a reason. But just exactly like what you say is the things that were said are just things that can't be taken back by about a lot of people, and I especially think my tipping point this week had to be when those tweets were sent out about you guys. Right? I think that there's a line that you do draw there. There's a line that they crossed. Paulie, I know how you feel about certain places. We saw the war room last year with the chocolate milk. But so throughout the game at halftime, Gaetano goes out there. That ball's in the air for at least a minute before it goes in. Okay, that's probably one. I've never been so nervous watching a field goal kick in my life. It goes in. What is happening inside that locker room at halftime?
You asking us?
I'm asking you guys. Whoever wants to answer,
I mean,
answer.
I think when we went in there, like everyone was just like, wow, like we got this. Like, but we all just went in there, like also like we all like talked to the team and everything, and we just said, hey, like this isn't over till it's over. Like keep your foot on their neck, don't let them breathe, and take the life out of them. Like every play. Once we get out there, we got to do everything we can. And then we got out there, and first play of the second half, Joe gets that pick, and that's when it really hit me. Like, wow, we really got this thing. Like everything we worked for all year, it's really happening right now. We really did earn this.
Memo?
Yeah, I mean, halftime, I came in and I just kept telling everybody, I said 24 more minutes. That's it. That's all we have together. And, this is it. This is the last time I'm going to be on the field, maybe playing with Cardi and Saeed for the rest of my life. I don't know if I'm going to play with these guys again. So I just kept telling everybody 24 more minutes, leave everything out on the field. And, we got out there and that's what we did. We left it all out.
Saeed?
I was pretty isolated there at halftime. I think I was the first one to try to get back out there.
That's how it's always by himself.
But to be straightforward, I thought it was over from after they got the first stop because I knew they weren't gonna be able to stop our offense. So yeah. I was eager to get back out there.
Favorite moment from the game?
I'll probably say my second touchdown on their sideline. I'll probably be my best friend in the student section.
Well, was the student section gone at that point, or were they still there?
They were still there.
Okay.
Somewhat.
Cardi, favorite part of the game?
I mean, if I'm gonna be honest, my favorite part of the game is like anytime Zero touches the ball. He's really an electric player. So
oh my gosh, that juke move is insane.
So like that kid, like I've been saying this since like our beginning of the year, like he's probably the most naturally gifted like player I've ever seen, and he really doesn't realize how good he is yet, which is the crazy part. And he's a silent kid, he's not like a trash talker and stuff like that. So he comes up, shows up to work every day, does his job, and then when he gets to the game, it's just like, all right, like the stuff he does in these games is just like you like look back and you're like, wow. Like,
I mean, when you're naturally that gifted and that humble, like he's gonna have no idea how good he is because it's just natural to him. Like like during practice, he's just walking through it, just making play after play.
But the thing is with him that I think will never change with him. That I know will never change. He's such a humble kid.
Humble.
He'll always ask for help. I mean, he's asked me for help all year with stuff like because that's what I'm saying. He's still so young. He really doesn't know what to do yet. But I mean, when he just gets on the field, I mean, it's just any play he made, as you saw on Friday, like. Pretty crazy.
My favorite part of the game probably had to be when Coach Vito flew 15 yards. I've been definitely a guy that has had words with refs before, and we got to watch it on replay in the skybox, and it was even better. So, I mean, wings, that's definitely probably where you guys, your hops from. Guys, so, I mean, a big part about Bergen Catholic football is, of course, Coach Vito. What was that pregame speech like?
I mean,
I'll let Cardi tell you this one.
I never seen Coach Vito really this fired up to get out there. Like I knew he was going to be so locked in for this game. But I mean, I could see it in his eyes, like he wanted it just as much as us. I mean, like we obviously wanted it, but when I saw him and saw his eyes and that look in his eyes, I was like, all right, yeah, we're going to win this thing. Like, there's no, we're not going to win it. So I mean, he said some stuff to get us fired up. He may have said some stuff that saying that he doesn't care if we got the penalty or stuff like that.
Yeah, the referee tried to cut him short, and he was
tried to cut him
pleased.
short. And he had some words to say, but
that's what fired me up the most.
That's just who Coach V is, though. Like he's just a natural leader, and anything that guy says, like you want to do anything for him, you'll put it all out there on the line for him.
I like it, love it. All right, guys, let's have some fun now on the show. You guys got it. What questions do you guys have for each other? I know you guys definitely have some questions for each other. There's no doubt in my mind. So, and if you have questions for me too, I'm ready. I know Polly's got questions. I know I would talk to Polly this week, and I know he's like fired up for this one. I really do.
I mean, I really got questions. I just there's just things that you can think of and say, like Saeed, just maybe one of the most underappreciated players in the state of New Jersey at the running back position. I mean, we're going into the semifinals against Del Barton. Everybody's talking about Ryan Trafford, 1,600 yards. And then Saeed, and then Ryan Trafford, was not as good as Saeed St. Fleur was. And, then Chris Mimo, under-recruited player like that, making big plays on the defensive side of the ball all season. As like not Chris. I don't know. I've met you a bunch of times, but I don't think you're 6'5". I don't think you're a big corner like that. But you play like it. You get up there and you make big defensive. Yeah, and then of course this guy right here. I've known this guy for I don't know how long. I mean, like 10, 12 years, something like that. Just on all-time leader. And that big time play, like that play you made with the back shoulder fade to the Dom reminded me exactly of the the big conversion against Bosco at Bosco last year on the long play down, like big conversion, sure hands. It's just
same celebration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe at Columbia you got to work on that.
Cardi, question for you. I know what it's like to win things with your dad, right? We just came off a big re-election victory over by us. What's it like winning a state championship with your dad who coaches your position?
I mean, damn. I mean, playing for your dad and winning like something big with that. I have 2 of them now with him. So, it's also to win stuff like that because, like a lot of people don't know like how much work that he puts into stuff and how much work he like put into me and everything and how much he's pushed me through my life to get there. And, it's stuff where like, it's honestly so happy for me, but also it's just as happy for him because like he gets to see all that hard work paying off. And, as a kid, like when you get pushed and stuff, like when you're younger, you're like, all right, like, damn, like this sucks. But like, then I look at it now, like I'm a 2-time state champ. So like, I really can't go on to play Division I football in college. So like, I'll never really like it doesn't really hit me yet, but like I know like in a couple months or a year, like it'll hit me. Like those moments with my dad are probably like the most special things I'll ever get.
What's it like home after practice, or if you have like a bad practice?
I mean, what's it like home after practice? I mean, once I got older, I mean, there wasn't many times where I would have like bad practices. And when I did have bad practices years before, it would just be because maybe I was being lazy or like I was doing.
I mean, War Eagles. He definitely, definitely got you a couple times. Definitely a couple times.
Most times when I get home and my dad says like I have a bad practice, it's usually a good or a normal practice for normal people. But like my dad's always gonna get on me. But like I said, that always makes you better. So like you can't complain about it.
I like it. Okay, so back to the game. That clock's winding down. What's going through your minds?
I mean, when that was winding down, like obviously I went to go see all my friends on the sidelines, give them like a hug and everything. Let them know we did it.
Don't do that. You'll get in trouble. Don't do that.
Why? What did it do?
No. What happened?
It's not like any of your friends like snuck onto the field after the game and lied about like their dad was the head coach or something. Who would do that?
Yeah, obviously I went to go see all my friends on the sidelines, just embrace that moment to realize what we all been through. especially me and Saeed being seniors. I mean, we've done this since freshman year, so it's like really special to get it done. Like last year, obviously 12-0, so special. But then this year, after losing that game, especially versus them, everyone doubting us, and then coming out and doing what we did, like just take that all in, and almost like I started crying too, because it's just like it's such like a surreal moment. You know what I mean?
Chris?
It was bittersweet. We accomplished what our main goal was to win the championship. I did it for these guys in front of me right now. I did it for all the seniors. And I was just thinking about that ring. I can't wait to put it back on and have two now. And now for me at least, it's going back to work and going for a third one. But really, my mindset was just like doing it for these guys. That was it. That was my goal, was to make these guys happy, to win it for them, and that's what we did.
So back in, right, we go through this game again. All right. Hardest part about the game?
I would say the hardest part about that game was
Nothing really. I mean, I think
I
it
was
was
trying to
the
think of
practice.
something for you, but
The practice aspect of it was probably the hardest
Yeah.
part. Like practice, it was
Yeah,
grinding
yeah,
time. We put in all the every single day, the most energy into that week, and we came out and it paid off. That's what it was. It was the hard work and grinding that no one else saw. No one else saw what we were putting in and did every single day, waking up 4:00 in the morning, or right after school, working out. And we put in that time, and it finally paid off. And I think that's what the hardest part was. And during that game, there really wasn't a situation where we got scared or it was hard or anything happened. So I think that was the hardest part, was the practice and the time that we were putting in, was the grind.
Talk about the practices. What was put in for offense throughout this week and the game plan that was different?
I mean, there wasn't really any differences. We just knew we had to run the ball, and the thing we didn't get to do last time we played him was pass the ball. And we knew since that game, I mean, our offense has been incredible since that first game. So I mean, I think I saw we averaged 37.8 or 0.7 points or something like that since that football game. So which not just in New Jersey, but especially our league, how big it is, and such a hard league, scoring that many points is pretty crazy. But I mean, going into the week, we obviously put in, like we do every week, put in some new plays. We didn't really run that many of our new plays because we were really just giving it to them. So that's one thing. I mean, the only play that we actually, I think, ran that was new was the play that I called it on, because in the first game, the play we ran a comeback and they picked it off. And then so that play that I ran, that play where I caught it, it was actually a comeback, a fake comeback, and then go, because I knew that corner. We knew that corner was going to bite on the comeback. I think he was going to pick it off again like he did last game, and then we just cooked him on that. So that was probably the only play, I think. Right, Saeed, am I wrong? Is that that's probably the only play we ran that we went over this week, right? Other than just our normal stuff.
Yeah. Kind of like picking up on their blitzes, but
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Because that's really what messed us up the first game. Those blitzes they had, those free runners, they would come late and stuff, and we really picked that up. And I mean, they always they were all saying that Bosco's O-line's the best in the state, all this, but I mean, after a game like that, I don't think as an O-line you could play a pretty more complete game than what they played. So I think we obviously know who the best offensive line in the state is for sure.
Yeah.
Is it tough to have an offensive line with the amount of changeover, how it's new guys every single season? Is that tough as an offense to adjust to?
I think it's definitely hard, but when you have trust in these guys like I do, and I know Saeed does, you see these guys grow, these younger kids. I mean, we have Garrity and Woods. We obviously know two of the best linemen in the state, so we know that for a fact. And then we had Nair come in, Owen come in. I mean, Marcus is one of the toughest kids we have on our team for sure. And then obviously Nair is probably going to be one of the biggest recruits to come out of Bergen for sure. I mean, from what he was last year to now, I mean, it's the growth and the improvement that he showed is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And he really started to get it throughout the year, how good he could be if he just did what he's supposed to do and had confidence. And then we have Owen and Genty, and then we have Ben Shu too. All those guys.
And Mike Dan really stepped up.
Yeah, all that rotation. I mean, Genty coming in from never playing like a varsity snap ever really before this year, at least starting one, and then he came in, did what he had to do. Ben Shu coming in, obviously Owen Fernandez. So I mean, all these guys. There's nothing I could say more about these guys than like they're all winners, and having a rotation like that, how they did this year, was hard. But when you give into the team, and when you love each other, how we all love each other, I mean, that's the one thing that we always say. We always love each other. We'll tell that to each other every day. And when you really love each other, then that's what happens. I mean, when you're family, you'll do anything for family.
I hear you. Well, guys, as we wind down the show, as always on the Philosophy Podcast, does anybody have any questions for me? We always ask that. If you don't, you don't. If you do, you could ask. Anybody's got anything? Let me know.
Billy B, I got a question for you.
Yes, you got it.
How'd you enjoy the game? How'd you enjoy the game?
So, all right. So this is how I enjoyed the game. I'm going to give you my week analysis of what happens. So I fly back from Florida. Okay. All right. Say goodbye to Mr. Trump at the golf course. See you next week. Fly back home. As I'm walking in the door, I get on the phone with Christian Cardi, who during football season I don't talk to because he's so locked in. And I go, "Hi, sorry to bother you." He goes, "No, what's up?" I go, Are you gonna win on Friday?" I said, "Are we gonna win on Friday?" And he looked at me on the phone and he said, "Yes, we're gonna win." And I go, "Okay, I'll talk to you after the game." He goes, "You got it." Didn't talk to him since then. Send like a text like, "Hey, good luck." Then Thursday had Thanksgiving with Garrity. Get to the game, got there early, went up in the box. I'm sitting there. We're watching. Go down, score quick, going crazy. Okay. And then I'm like, oh my God, deja vu. Hashtag Phil was right. Look back at the podcast when Sabella talks about why they go, 4 and out. They do it again. Phil was right once again. Won't go into that story about that. That's a story for another podcast. Okay. So Phil was right. Then you guys keep scoring. Like, oh my God, this is big. Like, I don't believe what's going on right now, but I kind of do. Then what's going through my head next is when you go kick the field goal, when it goes in, I'm like, this thing's over. And the interception, and all of a sudden my phone starts blowing up from a bunch of people. And they were texts that were very different from the last time that you guys played them. They were texts that, wow, you predicted the future on your podcast. I swear. Some people asked me if certain apparel was a myth or not. You're not going to have a comment on any of that by any means. So yeah, and I was so excited because just for the guys that were there. I mean, like me and Cardi all year, like we were talking about this. Like he keeps telling me it's going to happen. Chris, me and you, right? We've got really close. Steve, we never met before. Paulie, talk about announcing. When I'm in Florida, I'm listening to Paulie call the games. All right. When Cardi's making these giant catches, I'm sitting next to my guy Frank Mazzola, and we're both screaming our heads off for Cardi. Okay. But what it comes down to, in my opinion, is a lot of people say, "Oh, well, you went to this school, you went to." I'm like, that's great and all, but when it comes down to real people, family that you become and build these connections with, you want to see them succeed. You want to see them do great things. And I'll tell you what. Winning's not easy, and that's why people hate winners, because they can't put all that work in to go out and do it, right? The month of November was really, really, really awesome. In my opinion, I don't know how you guys think about the month of November. I thought it was a pretty great month for winners. And then after the game, I ran down to the security guard, like, "Hi, I need to get on the field to go see my cousin." And the one guy goes, "Oh, I can't let you on." I go, "My dad's the head coach." He's not. And I ran on the field. I saw Cardi. So I enjoyed the game a lot. And anyone that follows me on Instagram for the last 2 days after the game knew I enjoyed the game a lot. And if you're on my Snapchat private story, you really knew I enjoyed the game a lot. Would you say that, Chris?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
100%. Any other questions, gentlemen?
Muller's texted me. He said he wants you to call him. He has an actually good question, he said.
Okay, you could have Muller call you because I threw my phone because he keeps spamming me. And you could call him normal, and you could repeat his question. If you think it's appropriate enough, you could repeat Nick Muller's question. Lafayette men's lacrosse #1 player. No, take it off speaker. Take that off speaker. Well,
Yeah. What the? I don't know if he's gonna call me back, Phil. He said he wants you to call him, Phil.
I'm not going to call him. I'm not going to call him. I'm just not going to do it. For those of you that are wondering why I won't call him, he called in before. We had Jake thankfully cut that part out of the podcast. So
I think
we'll
you
leave
might
it
be
at
good, Phil. I think you might be lucky. I think he's doing something right now.
that. Okay. Well, he's a lacrosse player. He's got a lot of stuff going on. So, well, guys, Philosophy Nation, we have a new website. Podcasts are going to be coming. No Podcast November is officially over. And get out, like, share. Guys, congratulations. As always, Philosophy, always there, never stop. Boom. Winners, what do? They win.